What's up, my little firecrackers? This is Blazing with us, blazing his way into another video. This is What If Belle Was a Demigod? Part 3. Now, where we left off, if I remember correctly, they were just leaving the dungeon after the whole fight on the 18th floor. Now, I believe I also stated their stats, so I'm not going to restate them in the last part. If you need to reminder, the last part's still there. You don't need to watch the last, minute or so. But yeah. Anyway, so we're gonna time skip about a week. We're gonna time skip a week. And we're gonna go to we're gonna time skip a week for Belle, but I'm gonna tell you what happens when about the meeting that concerns the Loki Familia. Okay, so the Loki Familia. So Riveria is, well, for the first time in a long time, she's unsure of something. Because, basically, what's happening is she has, what basically amounts to a legendary item that was made by the same person who made the Philosopher's Stone. The the person who made the grimoires, and all that. That person, made this crystal that could record a message. Any message, any length, but once it's recorded, it cannot be deleted. Once it's recorded, it cannot be deleted. So it can only record one thing ever, and it will last throughout all of history. And Riveria has this item. This item was used by Belle's previous incarnation that had helped Riveria, or the elven royalty, against Rakia. And so basically has a message from one of Belle's previous incarnations to his the next time he's reincarnated, and he gave it to Riveria, telling her to show it to his next reincarnation, and then and because if he did, then having his previous incarnation's life explained to him, some of the memories of his previous life would come back, and he'd still have some of that left, because he kind of in that life he kind of had a thing for Riveria, and Riveria had a thing for him. You know where I'm going with this, so just don't go asking questions. So she kind of shows, so Riveria is really, how am I supposed to, give this to him and have him watch it if he's, in another familia, and that, you know, that kind of a thing. So that's what's going on with her. I think this makes more sense than what I had originally planned out, since she didn't find out that he was a demigod, but this makes more sense in this instance. Since she didn't find out, I think this makes more sense. But yeah. So, you know, that's basically the thing that's going on in Loki Familia. After, you know, they came out. So, yeah. Back to, you know, Belle and stuff. Wealth has gone to level 2. As we know, in the canon, it was, you know, the same way he got to level 2. And he makes Belle, you know, the longsword using the Minotaur horn. And I believe what they ended up calling the knife that he made out of it was Ushiwakumaru, which I think I'm just going to take that name and then roll with it. But this is basically the blade. So as you can see, the red part is the part that's made with the Minotaur horn, the actual blade, while the hilt had to be made of a different material, as there wasn't enough to make the handle out of it as well, unlike in the anime where the dagger, a much smaller blade, if he was to make a dagger or even a short sword, then it could have made it with, you know, all of it being red, you know, all of it being made out of the Minotaur horn, including the hilt. But since it's a longsword, not so much. So, that's what it looks like. Wealth also had time to make Lily weapons, since she is much stronger than she is in canon, due to Belle's skill that allows the people that are in his familia to gain 50% of the experience that he's getting. So it's not, you know, 50% of the Excelia that it's not 5 times what they should be getting, it's like 50% of what he should be getting. Or did I explain it the other way? Either way, whatever I said the first time, which I think was 5 times, which is still a lot. Either way, I think 50% of the Excelia he gets makes more sense due to Lily's sudden jump in, you know, strength. But anyway, so these are the blades she has. And that's just because I found them and that they looked cool and I said I wanted that. So I put it in there. And for now, that's all. But anyway, now here's the part where I explain I'm diverging quite a bit from the main canon series of events, and having the whole Ishtar Familia arc happen before the War Game arc. Also the leader of Ishtar Familia, you know, the fat ugly toad person, can't even be sure it's a woman, honestly. No offense to, you know, people who would find that offensive, but she's ugly. And she's meant to look ugly too, so, you know, I could say that. Like, that was, like, definitely purposeful. Like, they wanted her to look ugly. Because every other Amazon, you know, in there actually looks kind of hot, but, you know, her her specifically looks ugly as, like, don't even. That was definitely on purpose. So yeah, Ishtar Familia arc is happening first. So anyway, here's what's gonna happen. So, a week later, so a week has passed and their weapons have been, made. Lily still has the wrist crossbow that's on her wrist, so don't worry about that. But yeah, so what happens is they Take Mikazuchi Familia and Hestia Familia are eating at the Hestia Familia's place of residence, which they do have a larger house, if I did forget to mention that earlier, as they're making a lot more money. So they're, eating, at her house, and they make a deal to, like, go into the dungeon together, as it will be more fruitful and it would benefit both sides. Take Mikazuchi's agrees to it more as a way of repentance, rather than mutual benefit, because he feels bad for what his children did to Hestia. This is when Belle sees Chigusa and Makoto talking, and then Makoto having a surprised look, and they both talk to Take Mikazuchi, saying that they have something to do and are going to leave, which Take Mikazuchi agrees to. And they leave, and Belle says, "I'm going to retire for the night." Hestia says okay, as he goes and doesn't go to bed. Opens the window, climbs out, closes it, and follows stealthily from behind, until he sees them going into the pleasure quarter. And Belle's not stupid. I believe I said he was 16 in this. If I hadn't, he's 16, and Lily is 17, just like Welf. Eyes herself is still 16. It's just I'm changing their ages. I'm gonna say the age of consent is 16, just because. You're saying, God, dude, that's gross. 16. Japan is 13. So calm down. Anyway, so yeah. Anyway, so it's like, God, I'm gonna have to shower like 10 times, maybe more, to get rid of the smell that this place is gonna rub off on me. As he follows them in, and the course of events is more of the same, because he doesn't have any weapons on him. So Belle's just running from the... So everyone knows Belle because he's like the first adventurer to get to level 2 in a month and a half, and probably going to be the only one to reach that level in a month and a half. Because damn, that's quick. Like the record before that was Eyes at 1 year, and the record before that was like 3 years. So it takes a long ass time to level up, to get to the point where you can level up. So doing it in a month and a half, unprecedented. Oh, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I skipped the Denitus? The meeting of the gods. I think I skipped that, but thinking back on it, I think I might have, but I don't care. I don't care. No one does. It wasn't that important. It wasn't in the anime, at least. But yeah, back to this. So, hold on. Something on my glasses. Okay. So, he follows them in, saves them from some stupid gods. And before, some of the Amazons spot him, specifically the, fat ugly toad, which in this is, in this she's only level 3, while Aisha is the head of the Familia at level 5. So yeah, that's how we're doing this. Aisha's the main bitch, He tells those two to run and get out of the pleasure quarter as he kicks the toad in the face, thus sending her through a wall, because his kicks are fucking powerful, man. As he starts running, as the same series of the same basic chase scene ends up happening. Now, the chase scene is more in the light novels than it is in the actual anime, but chasing in the light novels was pretty nice. So anyway, those two get out of there. Yeah. So Makoto's starting to develop feelings for Belle, because why not? Because like when I'm doing a harem, I'm gonna even if it's already a harem in the anime, I'm going to add people to the harem that aren't in the harem, normally. Plus, the harem hasn't even really started, and we're what 11? It's I believe it's classified as a harem anime or in a harem light novel series. But come on, 11 volumes in, and all we're seeing is Belle being too shy. Like, he hasn't even started dating a single one of them. At least, you'd think at least 11 volumes in, he'd be at least dating one of them. But, hey, Belle's just that person. But in this, he ain't shy. Anyway, so, moving on. So, that chase scene goes pretty much the same as, he ends up meeting, Haruhime. That interaction pretty much goes the same until, she wakes up again. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, you need to rewatch that episode in the anime. That was funny. But, yeah, so, basically, the interaction between them is, something along the lines of, how do I put this? She's gonna explain to him, that, they're still gonna be, both of them are still hero nerds. Basically, guys, let's be honest. Belle is Deku, but sent in, the mid-century. The medieval century. In medieval times. That's just all it is. That's the only difference. It's the only difference I can find between Belle and Deku. If you can find any other differences other than looks and, how the world works, find them. I'm talking personality here. Find any other differences. Someone's probably going to find one or two. I don't see any more than 1 or 2, though. I don't see it happening. So, that still happens. Get lost, and so they start talking. The only difference is that she isn't going to die. Ishtar is much kinder in this, but she still has that desire to beat Freya. Me personally, I find Ishtar more beautiful than Freya, at least on a physical, like on a physical level. I think Ishtar is more beautiful, but hey, that might just be me. While as Freya is more beautiful in terms of personality, or at least the personality that she shows to everyone. So really all Ishtar has to do is, be nicer, and she'd be better than Freya in my book, but hey, that's just me. Anyway. So, that interaction happens. So right now, basically what Ishtar is trying to do is she's trying to find a way, she's still like using her, which Belle doesn't like. He doesn't like that she's being used. He doesn't like that she's going to be the main thing that helps her beat Freya, which means that she'll be the main target of, all of Freya's attacks. And I don't care if they have some level up skill. It's still in the end going to put her over, and he can tell that she's content with this because she's not gonna die, but at the same time she's not living. She's alive, but she's not living, and he doesn't like that. He just doesn't. It's bullshit. So basically, since no, Hermes has to deliver a different item. I'd say he'd be delivering a different item, and same events would happen, and she'd try to ask for them to do the thing, go kidnap Belle and all that. So they're all going into the dungeon today. They're a party of 3. When ambush still takes place. Except this time he's fighting the giant toad. The giant toad ends up losing because he has a strength enhancer and a speed enhancer, which puts him on on par with a level 3. And at level 3 his what he would be at level 3, and his level 3 is basically and his level 2 is as strong as a level 3, so his level 3 would be as strong as a level 4. So he ends up still after getting the beat out of him for a bit, but he still gets wounded, but he doesn't get his ass kicked. Okay, maybe once or twice. But in the end he still comes out on top, a little blood matted hair, and a few cuts here and there, but more or less he's okay, because now he has a shield, so he's probably he's blocking more attacks. Plus he has more of a distance due to the long sword, so very minimal cuts and stuff. But yeah, that's more or less how it goes. But, you know, he comes out, and since he's already, like, beaten Aisha, being a level 5 in this, easily takes him out. Now, his again, it's been a week, but his stats, you know, are, like, even higher as he's, you know, taken on, you know, Goliath once more. You know, the normal Goliath, which I believe is level 3 or 4, whereas the, which is considered a level 3 or 4 monster, while the Black Goliath that they faced on the 18th floor I believe was considered a level 5 monster. But yeah, that's how it goes more or less. He's like been grinding a lot, like even without, you know, his friend's help. I'd say his stats are really up there. I'd say his main stats are S class, almost double S, and his non-main stats are A, almost S. But he did beat a level 3, and before the level up, there is still an increase in your status, you know, before you confirm the level up. So basically, by the time his status is increased, it's going to be, you know, mid-ranking double S for his main stats, and almost double S for his lower stats. In this case, I believe endurance would be barely double S, because of the amounts of hits he's taking from what amounts to a level 4 in terms of strength. Anyway, so he still gets, you know, taken in and blah blah blah, and when he's brought before Ishtar, so the toad doesn't, you know, try anything. In fact, I think they left her in the dungeon because no one liked her. So she's dead. She's probably dead. She's definitely dead. We're just gonna say she's dead. So he goes, he starts hearing voices in his head, and these voices aren't because he's going psychotic. It's because it's the gods literally talking to him from heaven, because I need a reason. I need a reason for this to happen, so it's happening. It's like the gods are, you know, using his connection to the gods to speak with him while they are still in heaven. Because there are no rules against, as far as I know, there are no rules that the gods cannot communicate to other gods that are in the lower world while they are up in heaven. As far as I'm concerned, there are no rules saying that they can't do that. Now, what happens is they're talking to him and telling him the best way to smooth over the situation, and he agrees. Now, every word that he says, he does mean. So he's saying things to Ishtar as he's moving forward towards Ishtar, walking up to her. His divinity starting to show, and her seeing that kind of like backs up, like, what is going on here? And he says basically what I said earlier, that she is more physically more beautiful than Freya is, and this is still the gods kind of like telling him what to do. Well, but, you know, Bel's a smooth talker anyway, so they told him the gist of the situation and how to handle it, and he's just going with the flow from there. So this is basically the gods kind of like this is more the gods' influence than it is him being himself. So the gods are affecting him. So he says, basically what I said earlier, that she is more beautiful than Freya, but her personality makes Freya more beautiful overall. And, like that. So all she has to do is, like, be nicer and all that. Now, she's feeling a sensation she's never felt before. You're saying, wait, she's the goddess of beauty and, like, sexual and all that shit. Okay, hear me out. This is the, ingenuity of a human, being able to come up with all these different things that the gods just don't think of. And, the flexibility of humans being able to, just go with the flow, kind of. Plus having the power of a god, that's a sensation no god has felt before. At least, not from a singular person. So yes, it is a sensation that she has never felt before. So, if you don't know where I'm going with this, she's going to be added to the harem. Because I said I'd add other gods, and I plan on other goddesses, and I plan on it. So yeah. This is happening. So, man. Okay. Trying to think of smooth things to say. But, basically, that's, what ends up happening. And, he, so basically Bel knows he's a demigod now. The gods have, like, explained that to him. That much is obvious to him now. And that's why I did this before the war game arc, and we'll still get to the war game arc. That'll still happen. It's just he'll know that he's a demigod at that point. And yeah. So he's going to be, level 3. So that happens. And so the pleasure quarter is, still up and running. Doing business, because we all know what happened when it broke down, and Bel understands what'll happen if this place breaks down, because it's like the infrastructure. It kind of like holds Aurario's adventurers, sanity in place. It's because they need that place to, let loose when they're constantly putting their lives on the line in the dungeon. So, yeah. So, he still gets Haruhime out of there, and that's, and she still has that admiration for Bel, and she's still a closet pervert. But we'll see how long that lasts. Basically, what really what really gets, how do I put this? What really gets Ishtar, to truly fall for him is when he kisses her. Yeah, he does that. So when he kisses her, it's both extremely warm, but like a comforting warmth, and it's, also this tingling feeling from the quote-unquote lightning. And so it's like lightning and flames dancing around her mouth. But it's subtle and gentle. Like normally, that she has is normally rough, long and tiring, and by the end of it, extremely tiring. But this is soft and gentle, and now she doesn't know what to think. Because that's just the kind of person Bill is, so I think that's how it would happen. And that's the kind of feeling she'd get. For those of you who care, Ishtar will be in the harem too, but this is, a pact has now been, basically by the end of this, he's formed a pact with Ishtar Familia. Yeah, so, basically Hestia Familia and Ishtar Familia are now, technical allies. Now, y'all are wondering, and now, because I have to do this, you know what, we'll wait. So, Hestia and, the Familia, and, Hestia and Lily get there only to see, Belle making out with Ishtar, willingly. Now, time skip, and, while they were like, let's go back a little bit to Hestia's perspective. She felt like something was very wrong, or at the very least was going to go wrong. So they, actually, it's because, they started heading to Ishtar Familia because, Lily and Wealth, explaining what happened. So they end up going, and to, the pleasure quarter and all that, only to find, and on their way there, Hestia feels something extremely wrong, with her god senses are tingling, and as they burst into the room, her god senses were right. He was fucking making out with Ishtar. So, they're not upset because they expect this to happen, basically, at this point. So, yeah. And because of, the way Aisha saw her goddess react, to the whole, kiss, like, she, like mind broken. Aisha went and, kissed Belle as well, and, he just went into it. He's like, oh yeah, sure, this is happening now. And she gets the same sensation, except she falls to her knees, and then to her side, and then rolls onto her back like, what the fuck? Just like, yep, can't let this go anymore. Yep, can't live without this man anymore. Like, holy shit, like, never gonna have with another man in my life, kind of, you know what I mean? Like, that was being amazing. So, that just happened. So basically, after that's going on, he knocks, he gets Ishtar out of her, phase, and, talks to, and Hestia talks to her, and an ally, basically they become allies. Yeah. Basically, but that can't be, that meant no assistance in the war game kind of a thing, like before. Now he's level 3, so now they go back home and upgrade his status. He's level 3, and before he gets to level 3, he basically has what's it called? His status is raised to what I said before. Strength, endurance, agility, and magic are all double S. It's just endurance is in low double S, while the other 3 were high double S, or in the almost triple S range, and the other 2 are S, almost double S. Because now he has a shield, and so he's taking more hits with the shield, which is increasing his endurance. Anywho, moving on. So basically, that's what happens. And since Lily wasn't fighting, she doesn't get the experience. She has to be in the same fight. But that shit happens. So then he's gotten to level 3 much faster. You know what? I'm gonna say that week skip, because just to make this make more sense, I'm gonna say that week skip was actually a month skip. So that it all makes more sense, I'm gonna say that week, instead of it being a week, it was a month. That way his level 3 level up makes more sense. And during this time, Apollo was trying to gather as much information on Bell as possible. What makes him tick, what to, use to piss him off, and what to not use to piss him off enough to, incite the war game. So, that's what they've been doing for that time. So all of that happens within a few days. He's after that month. It was that month skip, Izuku followed, Makoto and Chigusa, escaped Ishtar, then the next day got kidnapped. But yeah. So then, level 3, an announcement that Bell is now level 3 after only 1 more month. It's been announced that he's now level 3. Oh fuck. He's level 3 now. So basically, after this is over, this whole thing happens. After this week is when Luan and his group, start agitating Bell, but instead of going for the goddess this time, they find out that he has a harem, and is trying to, they're with his harem, bruh. Now, actually I skipped something. We'll get back to Luan later, but they are still going to do that. What I said, trying to with him by using his harem, but in this case, Seer, and Ryu both, opened up to him at the same time, because they both already know that he has a harem and how he works. So both of them are just hoping that he loves them too. Don't get me wrong, Ryu is still a kudere, but she still has feelings for Bill and doesn't, want to be beaten out by Seer. But she still needs to know, So
I don't have an answer for that. Is there something else I can help with?
no, Siri.
Okay.
My phone's on the other side of the room. That was weird. Okay, and now as we pretend that that never happened. It was hilarious. I don't even know where I am anymore. But, he says that, he says that he has feelings for both of them. And this is just me adding to the harem because I can. But, yeah, so that's how it is. So they, like, within that month, he's, dating them now, and Ryuk, is still, like, cold at times, but at other times she shows her nicer side, as she tends to do from time to time. Anyway, so, basically, Bell is now considered head of Hestia Familia, obviously, for obvious reasons. One, he's the highest level, and two, he was the first one there. Which technically is more common that both of those things are true at the same time. But yeah, I mean, just look at Finn. He was the first one in her familia, and he's the highest level. So unless, like, someone transfers in and we're already a higher level than the main person, than the first person, then usually the first person is the highest level. So, yeah. So, they were trying to, with, best girl Ryu, I don't care what anyone else says. He immediately goes and socks the bitch in the face. Like, the fuck? The fuck you trying to say, bitch? Because I know you ain't talking about my girlfriend like that. And, Bet's still there, so he's hearing that this rookie, this little rookie, because I'm still going to say is, a lot of people still call him that, even if his, his nickname is different. And people still call him Little Rookie because, or at least Bet does, because it's an insult, So people who want to insult him call him Little Rookie, while, his name, is actually, something else. I'm gonna call him Lightning Bolt. You know what? Fuck it. We'll just call him Bolt. That's his nickname. That's his adventure name. That's his adventure name. It's Bolt. It'll change soon. Don't worry. But they're trying to fuck with him. Trying to fuck with Bell, And he ain't taking that shit. Oh, and so that still goes as planned. Except this time he's fighting with he still fights with Hyacinthus, I think is how you pronounce his name. What the fuck was that? Oh. Yeah, that's interesting. How you spin Izumomo in a Ghost Rider AU is beyond me. But okay. I'm getting off topic. Basically, no. Bell still, it's just, pissed off. Bell, instead of going all out, won't, because he just turned level 3 at this point. He's barely level 3. So he doesn't, have complete control over his power, so he still gets his speed, pretty badly because he hasn't, learned, his new power level yet. He hasn't become accustomed to the full power of being a level 3, so he still gets his speed pretty quickly because he's not using any spells because he's not trying to like destroy the tavern or anything. So he still gets his ass beat pretty bad. And Welf and Lily take him back to his house where he's treated for his wounds by Hestia, which aren't that major. And that's where I'm going to end this part off here. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to be going over, in the next part, I'm going to be going over some light novel only stuff. So it's going to be some stuff that only happened in the light novel. So be prepared for some spoilers in the next part. And also be prepared for the next part to take a while because I have to finish reading volume 8 of, the series in order to know all the stuff that happened in it. Because in case you didn't know, this is just me talking, so feel free to just end the video now. But in case you didn't know, volume 8, the only chapter in volume 8 that is covered in the anime is the final chapter, A Certain Goddess's Love Song. That last chapter is the only chapter that is ever covered in the anime. All the other chapters are just some stuff like Mikoto and her god's romance. The romance that's not going to be in this what if, because I already said so. Because I already explained why. I think I did. In case I didn't, I'll probably explain it in the next part when they actually, get together. And I think it's Lily and Belle's relationship also grows. There's Welf and Hephaestus, that relationship. Then there was if I remember correctly, because I know what I know the majority of what happens, I just don't know the events. There's, because I read the chapter titles, there's Belle and Anna's relationship grows, as well as Belle and Seer. Belle gets to know Seer better, you learn a few things about Seer. So I am going to cover that for those of you who just don't know about what's going on there, and that'll be happening after the War Game arc, as it is the last little tidbit that season 2 skipped. But they basically skipped the entire thing. Like, the only thing that made it in there was the Rakia invasion, which was a part of the prologue, and then the final chapter. Yeah, so that's more or less what I'm going to be covering, except instead of Mikoto and her God's, relationship, it's going to be Belle and Mikoto's relationship. And instead of it being Welf and Hephaestus' relationship, it's going to be Belle's and Hephaestus' relationship. Because I can. I like when I do series, when I do a harem series, and it's already a harem, I'm gonna add more girls that are actually in the harem because it's a what if. I can do that. Also, I had an idea the other day, and it was what if Belle was a Crozo? So I might do that, I might not. I'm probably going to do it, but it's not going to be for a long time. So, hope you had fun. So, anyway, hope you all enjoyed. This has been Blazing What Ifs. Blazing away.